So Frank here, Money in the Bank with Frank. We're here at Consensus with Neo, and they have a great booth with some bridging technology. It sounds like you guys are bridging the physical world with the NFT world. And how are you guys doing that?
Well, for the activation for us this year at Consensus, this is, I think, the third major kind of physical activation that we've done. We have crypto rings. So you can kind of think of them as like the secret decoder ring that you used to get in like cereal boxes and things like that.
Yeah.
So they are rings which are cryptographically verifiable assets. So they're unique. They can assert their authenticity and their uniqueness, and they're bound to an NFT on the N3 network. And then with the event, people can come in. There's a paper wallet that they receive, which takes them to a web app. So all they do is they scan it on their phone, and they're immediately in.
Yep. And then that links to.
And they're immediately in this experience, and they walk up to what we're calling the item shop, and they kind of authenticate with this web app to say who they are.
Okay.
And we issue 2 NFTs. So there's an item NFT, which will get bound to a ring, and then there's also it's a Texas horned lizard ring, since it's Texas lizard, and that's a generative NFT that was designed by a Ubisoft character designer.
Oh wow! Okay.
And there are 260,000 different combinations of them. So then people receive a ring based on the color that they were minted on the blockchain and their different rarities.
Okay.
And they can bind it to the NFT, and then they go around. We have 9 different partner pods for ecosystem projects and communities, and they can scan their ring. And every time they scan their ring, they can the ring asserts its authenticity, and their lizard updates with a bunch of different attributes, and there are a bunch of different rarities and things like that.
So I mean, you could do this with, obviously like people like jewelry, people like fun stuff, but this is not something that you could literally do this with a cell phone. You could have any kind of device, and that would really
art
on there. Art, yeah.
You can do it at canvas. You can do it at any textile. You can do it.
Now, thinking of this, and this is just me spitballing, but like, let's say gaming, right? NFTs, like to guide your character. Maybe it's linked to that device, and then you're playing in a game in somebody's place. You could jack in, and you've got your character too, right?
Yeah,
it's something that feasibly could be done.
Yeah, it's kind of the term is LARPing, like live action role play. Yeah. You imagine you're gonna get together with your buddies and go to Vegas.
Yeah.
And you've all got your gear. It's not like, maybe it's not swords and things like that, but maybe you have your nice jacket, you have your nice shoes, you go and maybe you fight a dragon in Vegas instead of playing slots.
Yeah.
And you scan your jacket to activate your features of the game, and then you can go and you can open chests, you can open doors that may be locked to different places. You can think of kind of if you guys are familiar with Meow Wolf, like some of their types of activations, which are much more interactive, that kind of thing. But it's all decentralized in a decentralized way, right?
That's great.
So
when you take a step back, just tell me about how you guys got started. What was it like? What was the path to Neo from the beginning to now? I mean, obviously, since just in a year, so much has changed from Consensus. Like the crowd that was there last year to the crowd here this year feels a little different so far. But what was your journey like from the very beginning to where you are now?
Personally, or Neo's?
Sure. Personally. Yeah.
Well, I'm a hardware engineer by trade that works in software, so this is kind of a fitting thing. And I've been with the Neo ecosystem for about 6 years now. I've been blockchain full time. And I came from Seagate Technologies, so I was doing kind of decentralized work already for storage. And one of the things that our team really strives on is user experience, because there's a lot of, at least in our opinion, there's a lot of self-fulfilling blockchain and crypto work where you have to really try to get in. You have to figure out what wallet you're going to download. You have to go into the exchanges, and most people aren't going to do that. The famous example is the the QR code from the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like that's such an easy UX. Like people scan the QR code, and then they're immediately in the ecosystem, right? In the community, they get their first exposure. So that kind of thing is something that we really push on. Is how can we get people to use the technology without having to read thousands of pages of white papers and understand all the underlying tech.
And try to make it idiot-proof.
Yeah, exactly. I want something that all of my friends who aren't in this space can enjoy with me. Really, like I talked about the LARPing thing. Like I want to go do this stuff with my friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like that sounds fun to me. I want to be able to build technology for them to do it. This is kind of an example of that. Like, you know, we have the rings and people get to go around and kind of experience that, leveling up their characters and things. So it's kind of fun. Like a lot of the people in my team played like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, and you can imagine like you're sitting around playing D&D and you actually open a real chest and there's like loot that's there. Like you get rings that can do stuff. Yeah. It's like there's a lot of interesting use cases there.
That's great. Now, is Neo, like, I see that there's a couple of different things. You got like ecosystem, and then you've also got like the governance model, right? So what I saw that there's like different people in here at different booths so they're basically building and they're showing their stuff that they actually built on the Neo network. Is that
so Neo is a permissionless blockchain. It's a layer 1 technology. And it's important for layer 1s to have projects because they're a platform. You can imagine like if Microsoft didn't have any apps on Windows, like that's a big problem for Windows, right? That's the platform.
Right.
So for this year, we really wanted to show like Neo's the platform and look at all of the projects and all the interesting things you can do with the technology. So then this is really just designed to bind all of this together and give people a reason to kind of walk around and explore and talk to the different people.
Lord of the Rings, like
that's right. Yeah, maybe there is one, but there. But that's kind of the goal. I think it's a really it's been a good turnout. It's also been kind of a mini DevCon in a way because a lot of these projects, as people work together online, all from all over the world for years. Yeah. Like I have some colleagues that I've worked with daily for 6 years, and I'd never met them in person.
Sure.
And you know we've have them here this time, so it's kind of nice to meet everybody and talk and collaborate. So there's been a lot of collaboration already, just even in the first day.
Have you seen more people like that maybe have worked on a different blockchain that are now coming to the survivors? Is there any integration happening, or are you getting any more talent from maybe projects that didn't work out so well that people wanted to stay involved in that industry or in the industry?
Kind of. I think for us, where there are two different areas we're pushing. That's one of them is trying to attract developers, specifically with innovative use cases. Since this is also a dev kit, it's open hardware, for example. Okay. So people can come in, they can actually request more of them online on our website, and they can build and write software for it. So we're trying to attract developers with the interesting tooling and kind of the innovative technology. We're also now, and I don't know how familiar you are with Neo, but this is actually the second complete build out of the technology. So it was one of the first delegated Byzantine fault-tolerant blockchains. Binance Chain actually directly referenced the Neo architecture when building their platform out, and so many others. So we've not like in the past couple of months, but really in the past 18 months to 2 years, we've released this new platform. And our tooling for that platform has started to really reach a level of maturity where we can start going after more like enterprise customers, right? So that's where a lot of my team focuses on, is working with people who may not be familiar with Web3 and bringing them in and being kind of their technical expert, because it's kind of a risky business proposition to enter in. You're putting your entire brand at stake. There's a lot of money involved if there's a defect in your code. So this is another kind of thing for them as well, where they can see it and they can see a bunch of different use cases that have different really simple easy to understand user experiences.
So, and I'll get you, I'll get you a link so that you can access it and print it for whatever media reports you want. But tell me, give me just a quick blurb about how something that you guys promotionally would want to say out to the world, and then let's just do a quick thing on how the reloads, how it works.
Sure. Yeah. So I think the big thing is that Neo was in 2017, the Neo Legacy platform was a top 5 blockchain by market cap. There was a lot of speculation on it overtaking Ethereum, actually. At the time, we spent, one of the things that we kind of decided as a community along with the core developers is that around that era, we were finding or discovering that smart contracts are really the killer thing, right? There's a lot of potential with those. So instead of just continuing with our existing technology, we went and we reevaluated how we could build out a platform that is specifically designed to accommodate those use cases and those features. So instead of taking and carrying forward all the technical debt of having smart contracts but not really toning it.
The technical debt.
It is technical debt. There's no foresight and knowing about this stuff. It's exploratory, right? It's a cutting edge technology.
Yeah.
So we kind of went back and we rescoped how we could build a platform out that's really optimized around smart contract development and those types of utilities. So a lot of the tools that have been built into the N3 platform are really treated as utilities that the ecosystem can vote on for pricing and things like that. So there's not as much of a monopolistic opportunity in critical technologies that people need to build out their products. So it's kind of it's been an interesting opportunity. There aren't a lot of products like layer ones, especially in this space, that have the tenure of our ecosystem, but also don't have the technical debt associated with it, where there's the duct taping and the constant, you kind of patch and patch and patch and patch.
We didn't think about that.
So we're just gonna, So that's been kind of nice. We have this brand new kind of shiny blockchain, but we also have all the lessons learned of being in the ecosystem a lot.
I like to say experience is what you get when you don't get what you want.
Right, and when you can imagine, if you're an enterprise user, you want a tested technology. You want a technology that's been around for a while.
Right.
You're not going to put your multi-billion-dollar company's reputation on the line for a network that's been around for 6 months, for example, right? And a team that's largely untested. So it's been...
So you have some longevity, you have some experience, you have some history.
Yeah, so the platform and the team have been around since really as long as the Ethereum network has been around as well. So Neo and Ethereum really kind of launched around the same era.
So let's get to the fun stuff. Let's see how this thing works.
This is our private item shop.
Yeah.
So you can touch here to begin, and you can kind of, as you're going through this, imagine the GameFi opportunities here for the interactive experiences, because this is battery powered, it's low power device. Sure. It just needs internet, really. And actually, there's an implementation that doesn't require power as well. Okay. Where you can implement the technology. So then, in that app, if you scan the QR code, so then what that's going to do is it uses Wallet Connect 2. It authenticates you, and then you'll fill in some brief details about yourself, and then claim assets. And then this is all on mainnet. So all of our activations are live. They're using the mainnet. You can go on Explorers and see the transactions. You can interface with the smart contracts. Okay, and let's see what you got. So you received, there's your Lizard NFT in your wallet, and there's your item NFT there. Okay, and then you'll see it says place your one band on the scanner, and you received a white one. So here you go. Mm-hmm. And then you'll probably, and then if you put it on here,
where?
Oh, there. Yeah, you'll just want to set the ring down on the device. And what that's doing is it's the app is requesting the ring to assert its authenticity, and then it's taking that certificate and it's binding it to the ring, the item NFT that's on the Neo blockchain. Okay, so now you have and we're calling it an NFI, so a non-fungible item. Okay, so now these are cryptographically bound, so even if you lost this ring and if somebody found it, you could assert ownership over the ring. So when we talk about like theft, for example, or even recovery, like critical asset recovery, insurance claims, and things like that, you can imagine, say this were an heirloom, like a valuable asset,
Sure.
and it was lost or stolen. There isn't really a secondary or resale market for that item because you can check it and see that they're not the owner. The seller isn't the owner. So if you went to a pawn shop and you tried to pawn the ring, the pawn shop owner, if they took it, would be an accomplice to larceny, right? There's also an interesting consideration there too. Let's say you lost it and a Good Samaritan found it, they would have a way to directly contact